Welcome to the Online Success Journey podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 238. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Gabrielle Chipeur, a marketing automation specialist who spent the last 16 years at the crossroads of design, technology, and online education. Hello, Gabrielle.
Hi, Patience. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
Oh, thank you for coming. I know the clan is anxious to hear your story, so let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my clan a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your online business?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. So I actually never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I call myself an accidental entrepreneur. And when I grew up, I was raised by a single mom who was a small business owner and an entrepreneur. So she was always really busy trying to provide for my sister and I. And it kind of left us being raised by a litany of like family members and babysitters and nannies and such. So I grew up thinking that there was absolutely no way I was ever going to be an entrepreneur. So I went to school and I became a graphic designer, went to college. And after I graduated, I just decided that I was going to, work in graphic design jobs and agencies and companies and just work my way up and, maybe become like a managing position or a creative director, something like that. That was kind of the gist of my goals at that point. And so for a couple of years, that's what I did. I just worked for various design agencies and various companies in around my city and just kind of slowly worked my way up. And then when I was 24, I was headhunted by Shell Canada, and they needed someone who had the graphic and the tech design skills that I had, and they needed to train them to create a whole lot of online learning because they were moving from the in-classroom types of training and learnings into this more of an online space. And so they said, don't worry about learning how to create courses. We'll teach you to do that. We just need your design skills. And I said, awesome, of course. So I accepted the contract. But one of the caveats of the contract was that I needed to be an incorporated company. So I had to be an actual entity in order for them to hire me as a contract. And so I had to become a company. So I kind of like begrudgingly walked down to the registry and opened up my company and said, okay, well, I can't say no to this contract. So I'll be a business owner, I guess. And then 3 years later, I had been working for them and I got pregnant with my first child. And unfortunately, since I was self-employed, I didn't get like employment benefits. I didn't get maternity leave. So I was kind of left with a hard choice after having my son, whether or not I was going to leave him at like a daycare or whatnot and go back and work in corporate, or if I could do something with this company that I owned. So I decided to start my freelance business from home at that point. And I just started working from home, doing graphic design service, web design service. I started dabbling more into online courses, creating those for my clients, and really just took off from there. Now, the first 6 years of my business, it was absolutely like awful. I made every mistake in the book because I had no business management background. I had no idea how to really run a business. I really had to learn everything from scratch. And so the first 6 years was just really stagnating and I didn't really make a lot of money. I was barely keeping my head above the water. And then about 3.5 years ago, I realized that I had to take it seriously and I had to actually start and run my business so that it was going to be sustainable and profitable. Otherwise, what was I doing? I might as well just go back and get another 9-to-5 job because it would have been a lot less stressful at that point. And so I did. So I made the decision to just start making some big changes and I started running my business more consistently and more aware of how to properly run a business. And I really started seeing some amazing results. I tripled my income in 1 year. I started working less. I started reaching my goals. And I started actually enjoying working in my business rather than dreading it. So that's kind of like what brought me here and why I decided to write the book about all of the lessons that I learned in that 10-year period.
So what is the most dangerous belief an online entrepreneur can have?
I think And I run into this a lot with creative professionals. So people who are like designers and developers and ones who are not only running the business, but they're also doing the work, like what they're selling is their own time and energy, is that they don't have to be a business owner, is that they can just work on the projects and that's their business, you know, client fulfillment and making sure that they're doing the projects and, you know, just doing good work. But there's so much more to running a business, things like finances and operations and administration, that a lot of them just kind of shove under a rug until it kind of is a must have, like, oh, I need to get my taxes done, right? And they like freak out and do it. But I think that's one of the and that's the biggest mistake that I made too. And once I started kind of adjusting my mindset and realizing that I was a business owner first and a creative second, that's when I really started looking at my business through a different lens. And that really helped me.
Okay, I know you went into focusing in your business because you had a child and you wanted to move ahead. But why do you do what you do?
Well, I've always loved creating things. So that's why I knew I wanted to be a graphic designer of some sort. I loved technology. I loved computers ever since they came out. And I always wanted to be an artist, but I was really bad at like drawing and painting and those like traditional types of art. And then someone, when I was in high school, introduced me to Adobe Photoshop. And that like completely rocked my world. And I was like, what? I can be an artist and actually be like a technology artist? Like it was just mind-boggling to me. And so after that, I just knew exactly what I wanted to do. I could be creative, I could play with computers, and I could, you know, kind of have the best of both worlds.
Let's put money aside because you tripled your income. Well, how do you know you are successful?
Money aside, I think really it's about, are you living the lifestyle you want? Because for me, I wanted to have a lifestyle where I could stay at home with my kids and not be going to an office for a 9 to 5, and yet still being able to contribute monetarily. And I think that's really what I've achieved in the last couple of years, because I've gotten to the point now where if like the kids call and they're at school and they're sick and I need to go pick them up, it's no big deal. I can just go run and go get them. Or, you know, if they have a PD day or they've got an inconsistent schedule, no worries, you know, mom's here, I'm working in the office, you know, I can kind of juggle both. And that's really kind of my definition of success, that lifestyle that I wanted to be present in my kids' lives while still having something for myself and not being so stressed out that I'm doing it all and having to achieve it all, that I've kind of really got what I wanted.
But can anyone be an entrepreneur? Are some people more cut out for it than others?
I think some people are more cut out for it than others. I think it's because there's a level of risk in entrepreneurship. And some people just don't have the stomach for that risk. There's nothing that's really guaranteed when you're running your own business, when you're being an entrepreneur. And being able to trust in yourself and trust that you're going to be able to make those risks and have those risks pan out, and ultimately be okay if it doesn't pan out, and having, you know, like backup plans and contingency plans so that, you know, you're not betting the farm, so to speak. I think that's a personality trait that some people just don't have.
What have you learned from business as a whole?
Oh, so many things. I think from running my business, the biggest thing that I've learned is that I'm stronger and more capable of things than I thought I was. Because I remember when I was first starting out and everything seemed so hard and I couldn't figure it out. And it was like half of me wanted to just curl up into a ball on the floor and cry. But every time I was presented with a problem, I would work at it and I would figure it out. And sometimes the answers would be what I thought it would be. And sometimes I would find a completely different answer. But either way, I'd kind of find the answer and move forward and then get presented with a different set of problems. And at one point, you kind of look back and you realize that all of those problems and all of those situations that you solved and that you overcame, that made you a super strong person and the person you were today. And I think that was kind of the biggest thing that I've learned from being an entrepreneur, is just how strong I can be.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success, apart from being strong?
I would say my focus on being completely dedicated to my clients. I call it being invested in the outcome. And a lot of creatives and a lot of service providers are kind of looking for the next project, right? They need the next client, they need the next project. But a lot of them kind of neglect their existing clients and the existing projects that they're working on. And this kind of leaves a little bit of a gap because sometimes clients feel like they're not supported, like nobody's kind of in their corner, and that they're just kind of the next step to the next thing. But what I did was I focused really heavily on the client experience. All of my customers are, really given the top-notch treatment, and I make them feel like they're my best and my favorite and my most important client, each one of them. And I think that really paid off. It's a lot harder to do because there's a lot more effort that goes into managing your clients when you think that way. But it's really paid off because almost all of my clients are repeat clients. They'll come back to me again and again and again. And they don't have any arguments in terms of what I charge them, or, they love just giving me the reins and having me do what I want to do in terms of their projects. So that client relationship that I've really nurtured in all of them has really been the backbone of my business success, I believe.
Do you have a mentor or a coach in your business?
Yeah, I've had several coaches along the way. I'm kind of one of those people who I will hire a coach for like a specific type of problem or a specific kind of mindset that I'm working with at the time. And then I'll work with them for a little bit, and then I'll kind of get to a certain point where, okay, I feel like I've beaten that part, or I've gotten to the next level. And then I'll hire the next mentor to get to the next level. And so I've worked with about 4 or 5 different coaches over the years. And each one of them has just been so crucial in helping me reach all of those different levels of success in my business.
What is the most valuable thing your mentors has told you?
I think actually one of the most valuable things that a mentor ever told me, I hired a mentor at one point because I was dealing with a lot of personal issues, like personal issues from my past, some mindset issues and things like that. And I knew that they were really dragging me down in my professional life and in my business. And one of the things that I am really well known for is making things way more complicated than they need to be. And so this kind of comes into play with a lot of my client work, a lot of my projects. I'll make them far too complex and then get frustrated that it's a super complex project. And then also my personal life, I'll overthink things. I'll make things far too complex. And the best piece of advice she gave me was, Gabby, what would it look like if it was just easy? And to this day, like almost every single day, I hear that in my head, like, what would this look like if it was just easy? And it really helps to simplify things, because I think a lot of the times in business, we get all up in our heads and everything seems so crazy big and we can't possibly fathom how everything's going to play a part. And we kind of start going into the spiral of overthinking and overthinking. But when we really stop and ask ourselves, what would it look like if it was easy? What if I made it not complex? What if I created a funnel that only had 2 steps rather than 17? How could we really get it so that it's easy yet still has that nugget of what we're trying to achieve in the end? And I think that really helped me far less complicate a lot of the things in my business.
What grounds you?
Well, I'd say my kids are a big grounding factor. I've got 2 young boys, one's 9 and one's 6, and they're still at that age where they need a lot of attention. And so it's easy to get caught up in my work and what I'm doing online and everything, but they will really ground me and they'll pull me back, because one of them wants to play Lego, the other one wants to talk to me about the latest Harry Potter series, and it just reminds me of what else is in my life.
Tell us the difference between a service provider who is sought as a secret weapon and the one who isn't.
Yeah. So that was coming back to when I identified kind of really what set me apart as a service provider than others, because you get a lot of the ones that are out there that they're competing on price. So they are just trying to basically race to the bottom. I'll give you the cheapest price possible. And then they are doing this more client trap. So they're constantly looking for more and more clients because they're competing on price. They need volume in order to actually be profitable. But when you're a secret weapon, you don't really have to worry so much about volume, because you're giving your clients so much more value and you're invested in the outcome, they come back to you again and again, you can charge more for what you're doing because the outcome is so much better than if they had gone to one of these others who I call hired guns. So the difference between a hired gun and a secret weapon. And the quality of the projects you create tend to be higher. So again, you get these repeat clients over and over again. And overall, just the value that you provide in your business is so much more than these hired guns. So the key here is standing out and being able to properly communicate that you're a secret weapon and that you're not a hired gun. So a lot of that comes down to focusing on the results you get your clients and having them refer you more clients just like them so that you can grow your business. And these key differences and being able to communicate them is really valuable in terms of growing a service provider's business.
Give us your 3 top tips to become a really sought after service provider.
My 3 top tips. The first would be make sure that you have a really solid business foundation in place. So that's managing your finances, that's making sure your admin and your operations are really smooth so that your client onboarding process is really smooth and automated if possible so that your client feels really supported as they come in and then they interact with you. And part of that is creating systems and processes so that you can make your work go a lot smoother and a lot faster. So a lot of the times we think about these projects we create as like completely custom and we start from scratch. But a lot of the times you can actually put in place templates and systems and processes so that you're not starting from scratch. And then when you're not starting from scratch, you can make each project a little bit more profitable because you're cutting away some of the time needed to do that initial setup. So when you have that first piece, that really solid foundation of like a well-oiled, automated, processed kind of business, that sets you up for properly communicating to people how you're different. And the second tip I can say is that when you're promoting yourself on social media and, to other clients and prospects and stuff, what you really need to do is you need to focus on the results that you've gotten your past clients. So a lot of people, and we're really bad for this in the design field with graphic designers and web designers, we focus on the project we made. And you say, hey, look at this amazing website I created. But normal client is going to look at that and go, oh, okay, well, that's cool. That's fine. But what really gets them is if you talk about this website that you created that got your client, a 30% increase in their leads, or increased their sales by 50%, or, decreased their client drop-off rate by 10%. So when you can focus on these results and the symptoms of what you created rather than just what you created itself, that kind of shows that what you create is so much more valuable than just the project itself. So a lot of the times I find that a lot of designers just aren't talking about the results that they're getting their clients. So that would be the second tip. Focus on sharing the results that you're getting. And then the third tip that I could say is have some sort of referral engine in your business. So a lot of the times we don't really have a lot of time or money or energy for marketing and advertising, especially when you're starting out small, right? So having a referral engine just means that you're making sure that you're getting your clients to send you more clients over and over and over again. And the key part of this is having kind of a set referral system in place in your business. The first part of it is just asking consistently. A lot of people have, hesitancies about asking for the sale, and they don't want to seem like they're spammy or slimy salespeople, right? But you can just get over that a little bit because you're actually helping your client out when you're giving them your name to refer. They get to be like that cool person who has the in the know contacts, right? So you can make sure that you're asking over and over again. And then the second part of having a good referral engine in your business is making sure that you're offering incentives. So a lot of the times people will think of incentives as like, oh, I'll give her a gift card or I'll send her an iPad or something like that. But when you have incentives in your referral engine that are directly tied to your business, it actually just kind of feeds itself over and over again. So what I did in my business was that for every new client you referred to me, I would give that person 10% off their next order or their next project. And then for every 5 clients they referred to me, I would give them, 50% off their next project. And then for their, if they referred 10 people to me, I would give them free maintenance on their websites for life. And those are all really things that are easy for me to give. They're not really direct money out of my pocket. And the amount of money that I would get into my business from those 1, 5, and 10 referrals far outweighed what I was giving out. So it just really made sense. And then the third part of a referral engine is just tracking, making sure that it's like a set specific program. You give it a name, you're constantly talking to your clients about it, and it becomes part of your processes as you're going through a client project. So you ask, at the beginning of the project, you ask in the middle, you ask at the end, and you're consistently asking, and it just becomes part of the whole client onboarding and offboarding and experience while working with you. So those would be my 3 tips. 1 is have really good business foundations. 2 would be focusing on sharing your client results rather than just your projects that you're working on. And then the 3 would be have a set and defined referral engine or a referral program in your business.
What is the most valuable thing you have ever given away?
The most valuable thing I ever gave away was for a silent auction. One of my clients was a nonprofit, and they were creating a nonprofit building. So all of these different nonprofits in the city were going to be housed in one big warehouse. And so they had a big Mardi Gras event, like a silent auction and a live auction, and it's big fancy like black tie event trying to get donors to gather money for this project. And I was doing all of their websites and a lot of their promotional stuff. And so I donated a website package. I think it was about an $8,000 or $9,000 e-commerce website package. So that was probably the most expensive thing I've ever given away. And the funny thing was that the fellow who bought it, I think he only bought it for $500. So he got a steal of a deal.
Wow, he should come to you once again.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He did.
Let's talk about
a really good client, actually.
Oh, that's good. Okay, let's talk about your book. Tell us more about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Secret Weapon, it was kind of funny. It started off as a way, I wanted to write a book that, established me as an expert in my field. So I started writing about web automations and marketing automations. And then about 3 chapters in, I realized that this book was going to be obsolete in about a year. Because just the changing landscape, all the technology, all of everything I was talking about it was just going to be completely obsolete in a year. So I got a little bit frustrated. So I went back to the drawing board and I said, okay, well, what can I talk about that is going to have some longevity to it? And that was when I remembered how my clients call me their secret weapon. And I started realizing that all of the lessons that I had learned in my business, especially all of the mistakes that I had made, because I made so many mistakes, that had far more value than me being on a soapbox talking about how to automate your marketing. So I went back to the drawing board and completely, dug deep and remembered all of the mistakes I made, and then what I did to overcome those and how I put in place either systems or a different mindset or however I handled that issue and came out the other side and sat down and started writing it. And it literally just flew out of me. I think it took about 90 days to write the entire book. And by the end of it, I was like, wow, okay, well, this is definitely not going to be obsolete in a year. And from there, when I started sending it out to other people and test readers, the feedback was just amazing. So I knew I was onto something. And it's just kind of snowballed from there. And everybody who's read it has given me amazing feedback. They just love the concept. And they've gotten a lot of value just hearing about all of the mistakes and my own personal stories in there.
Where can we find this book and how can we connect with you?
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's on Amazon. In both Kindle and print formats. You can go grab a copy there. If you prefer audiobook as well, you can grab it for free. I've got the audiobook version for free on my website. If you go to gabriellechipeur.com/sw-audiobook, you can go sign up and get a free copy of the audiobook there. And if you're looking for me online, you can go to gabriellechipeur.com, or I'm on Facebook as Gabrielle Chipeur and on Instagram as Gabrielle Chipeur. So pretty easy to find me on those guys.
Thank you for sharing. So, Clan, there will be more from Gabrielle in a moment. If you are listening on one of the many podcasting platforms rather than my website and you are encouraged by Gabriella's journey, go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for a bonus portion of the interview. The Online Success Journey is a wonderful membership community built for people searching for the path to success. We are one big clan and you can be part of this community for free. Once you have joined the clan, click on part 2 of Gabriella's journey or over 200 plus other journeys that are available and learn how you can find the right path for your own online success journey. That's a wrap, clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Gabriella.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.